All right, good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, where our goal here is to really bring you the best, the brightest, the coolest, the funnest, all of the good things that are so important in this world. And really, too, it's so much of it is about, it really is about bringing people on and introducing people to you, to me, who are here to serve. It really is about having a life and a goal of service and doing really cool things out there for anybody who they can. And this is why I love doing this show. We got in late, so I'm a little discombobulated, so bear with me a little bit here. But today we have the amazing Tony Petrozza. I've been looking, I said your last name correctly, yes? Petrozza?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time. It seems like a long time, because we always have, in our two conversations that we've had and our messages to each other, just a lot of fun. And when we can have fun and share all of the amazing goodness out there and things that people like Tony do, it's really just, it warms my heart, it fills me up, and it makes me laugh. And that's really what I love to do. I love to laugh. So, Tony, thanks for being here.
Nikki! I'm running you from outer space. You know, when you were making that standard intro, and you said the best and the brightest, I was like, oh, I better leave. But then you said funnest and coolest. I was like, no, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
I got that.
Well, funnest is important because it's the most grammatically correct. But
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people have said to me, Tony, you're crazy. And I often, it was like a default reply. I would say to them, if you had any idea how much fun I'm having, you'd be crazy too.
I love it. And it is. That's what life's about. You know, we have a lot of seriousness that we have to deal with, and that's fine. That's part of it. But having a light heart, doing big things and having a light heart while you're doing them, I think is really, it's a key to probably sanity a little bit and making a difference. And that's really what we want. And so before we really dig into Tony and what he's all about, we always start the show with gratitude, because gratitude can change the world. And that's what's so important, is waking up, being grateful for whatever it is that you have to be grateful for. There's always something. And going to bed, being grateful for whatever it is that you have to be grateful that went on in that day. And there are lots of good things to be grateful for. So, Tony, what are you grateful for?
Before I answer that, let me say something about finding humor and having fun and finding funny. This is a critical thing. I always look for the funny angle in something, because it helps me just have feel lighter and to feel better about any situation, especially if it's a serious one. So I always recommend having a sense of humor, because it is a changer in how you feel, and how you feel, it changes how you approach something. So always, I mean, you want to be appropriate about things, but and often humor, the best humor is inappropriate. That's true, but you're not. Besides being a comedian, finding the humor in something can really change how well you solve it or deal with it. Okay, that said, let me answer your question, which is an excellent question. You know, I happen to be a grateful, recovering addict, alcoholic. I've been clean and sober a very long time. And back when I was in Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, I sponsored a lot of people, and I would tell some of these sponsees, indeed other people when I spoke, well, I don't have to say, well, I will say, because I'll set the table. We know the society how it is that we live in today, which is over-medicated, or at least if you don't accept that, it is so drug-dependent. Drugs are huge today, right? We want instant gratification for everything. We want a drug to deal with this, a medication to deal with that. We want it now. We want the easy way out. And now that that's said, addiction and these problems that we have today, whether they be medical, health, or otherwise, there is a solution for that, and that is gratitude, right? So I have gratitude for you, Nikki. I have gratitude for this technology that brought us together. But in every other situation, the gratitude that we can have is the solution. And I would tell people who want the quick solution to something, right? This instant gratification. If there's an antidote to these problems, it is gratitude. And if you can just imagine gratitude being a pill, right? That's the antidote. Take that pill of gratitude and actually feel the gratitude for the things that you have, whether it be Nikki here, or this technology that's supposed together. Every little thing, the shoelace that's keeping your shoe together. There's nothing you can't be grateful for. And to feel that gratitude, imagine you don't have those things. Imagine them all disappearing, right? Nikki disappearing, this podcast disappearing, that shoelace disappearing, it all. And then that can help you feel that gratitude, because feeling that gratitude is really the difference. And gratitude is the game changer. That's why I always, when I introduce myself as a recovering addict, I always say grateful recovering addict. Because it reminds me to be grateful for it all.
Well, it's those things that are hard that we have to deal with and go through that bring us to where we are now, and that have brought us to if you didn't go through that, would you be in this place where you're helping other people? Would you be in this place where you've developed this amazing technology that like I said, can reach the masses? In my promo video, I was talking about, what we all hope to do in our little lives when we're these practitioners, is to reach as many people as possible with our message, which we all believe is a really good message, and that's exactly what you're doing. And I think it's really amazing, but it's the hard stuff that gets us there, right?
Yeah, well, leverage, in reaching the greater quantity, and indeed in business success, all right, leverage is where it's at. So if you can help one person, awesome. That's truly awesome. That's great, wonderful. But if you can help 1,000 people, well, that's 1,000 times better.
Yes.
So find ways to leverage yourself, because that's the key to helping more people and doing better for yourself in terms of the business and what you do and the reach itself per se, as well as the return, and income, which you're certainly entitled to, and actually you need to have an income in society. And I like what the saying that the old Italian singer, the chairman of the board, he said, "I've been rich and I've been poor. Believe me, rich is better." so there's no, just because you want to help people, there's no need to take a vow of poverty or austerity. And I live pretty austerely. I live hand to mouth, because I'm so devoted to what I'm doing. You mentioned my app, which is revolutionary app, Perficio, which is the world's first self-coaching app. It's going to change self-help. I love self-help, right? But if self-help worked, I would have been a millionaire a long time ago. Right. And I'm living hand to mouth. So it's the potential there. But, so what's in the way? Well, the same obstacles that we start with doing self-help, we have to either overcome them or they're going to get in our way. And so they get in the way. So I created an app that's totally customized, and it'll help a person get through their obstacles, or at least be there for them, so that they can continue on to achieve their goals, whether it be, in this case, more specifically, finishing a self-help course, which is great, but it's nothing in itself. You learn things to do something with. So if you finish a course, great. Okay, big deal. Now what? You got to do something with what you learn. We hear that it's often said in our society today. There's things in the ways of education, obstacles for education. They're alluding to formal educations of colleges, universities, and schools. Those are great, but all education is self-education, and we start learning on day one. And if you're a decent person, or you have the mental wherewithal, you don't stop learning until the day you die. All right,
Yeah.
It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
All right, if you go to schools, you take courses, great, but you should be reading books, watching videos, always learning lessons. If you're repeating the same mistakes over and over, you haven't learned your lesson, and you're doomed to repeat the same thing over and over. Learn your lessons. So we're always learning. So, but in the case of self-help, I've taken practically countless self-help courses. Whether it be a personal development course with an instructor, or a self-help course, a book by myself at home, and I haven't done crap with it. If I even finished, we got to apply this knowledge to get something out of it, especially when we formulate what we want from this. Say if I read Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant, great. What do I do with it? Okay, do I just say, oh yeah, that's another book to put into my shelf? Of things I've done, or am I going to do something with it? What do I want to do with it? What can I do with it? Well, I have found, I was a personal development coach, a life coach, and I had a good success rate, 90%. But I found that, if you want to get into my motive, which I know you do, that I love self-help, but I failed with self-help, and I know that this is extremely a common problem. I would venture to say that 99% of the people and most people are not into self-help. I contend there are a number of reasons, but the primary one is they fear failure. Why do self-help if I'm afraid to fail? Which you probably will, right? But
we all do.
Right? But most people who are self-helpers, they don't get what they want out of it. And they're anguished and desperate and disappointed, or So I wanted to change that. I wanted to change it for myself, because I want self-help to work for me, and I want to change it for the world. All right, that's what I want to do. I want to make something that changes the world. I'm 57 years old. I'm a lot older than you. So, and I'm an ex-paratrooper. I've been through a lot. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't say that boastfully. That's where I am. But I am afraid of dying before I achieve my purpose, this destiny.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of. So that's
Yeah.
what scares me.
Yeah.
And so I want to make this thing that changes the world, so that people can achieve their dreams through whatever self-help. When I say self-help, I mean any self-help. I don't care what the course is. I don't care what it is, what the category, who the author is, how old it is, how new it is, how cutting edge. It doesn't matter. That's all a detail. I'm talking about you applying what you've learned so that you can pursue your goals and it being functional. That's what I'm talking about. And I created something like that. And it's such a difficult, think about how difficult that is. I've been at this over 8 years. The company is over 4 years old, and primarily due to undercapitalization, we've had all these setbacks. But this is a very difficult thing to make. It's novel, it's never existed before. So we have to make it all work together in this precise way. So we've had all these delays, but it's coming very soon. Most probably, we were going to launch in February. Finally, it's going to launch the first week of June.
Okay, so before we start digging into that, I want to dig in a little bit to you. You've hit on a few things. You've hit on a little bit of your journey, a few things that you've done. But I really like for people to have a little bit of a background, or a good background, so they can understand who you are, why you are, what excites you. Obviously, we kind of are figuring out what excites you, but what it is that got you to this place, because we all have a story, right? We all have a story that is usually really, really hard, and we all have a story that we have moved through. And I think when people know your story, know your history, your motivations, people can relate, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been there, or oh yeah, I can get through this madness that I'm dealing with right now and keep moving forward, because there's more out there, there's more goodness out there. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then I do want to deep dive into what it is that you've created, because I know a little bit, but I still don't really get it. And that's, I've been looking forward to this and not asked you a lot of questions because I want to really understand what this is about, because I think it's pretty phenomenal.
Well, Nikki, since I like you so much, and I say that sincerely, we have such a great rapport, and certainly we're from the same tribe, I'll really open up to you and make myself vulnerable. You know, I mentioned I'm a recovering addict. And you know, and I trace the genesis of that to the departure of my father from the split with my mother, the marriage and the divorce, when I was a child, and it was actually devastating to me, and it's probably that way for all children, but we'll keep it on me. And I was very sad, and that sadness became a rage, and I raged at the world. And quite frankly, if you could have shown me where the doomsday button was growing up in my adolescence, I would have pressed that motherfucker. I would have pressed it, because that's the way I felt that way about the world, because I felt that way about myself. And so, I had to get over this. I was in love with death. I had a romance with death. I joined the paratroopers, quite frankly, because I wanted to kill people. I wanted to kill people. And killing people for your country was the best excuse in the world, right? But there's a part of it that I often don't talk about, but I'm going to tell you here now, is that I wanted to be killed. I wanted to die. And so I had to. This was my conundrum, right? And then after I got out of the army, there was no longer chain of command. I got my honorable discharge by the plaque of my teeth.
I love that, by the plaque of your teeth.
And we've touched on this lightly. I'm a Christian, even though I'm an odd Christian. I'm a Christian who believes in reincarnation, but that's another topic perhaps. And my cross to bear, which is an old expression, right? It comes from the Roman days, not necessarily Jesus, was addiction. Addiction, quite frankly. I couldn't stop. I was out of control. I always had to use more and more. I had to change how I felt. My favorite feeling was numb. And then once it took me 8 years finally to get successful with addiction recovery. I quit using drugs 600 times, rounded, okay? I quit smoking about 100 times, rounded. And when I was finally successful, I was finally able to deal with this inner turmoil. And not that I was such a bastard in my life. A lot of people might probably have good things to say about me. Probably a lot of bad things to say about it. But I wasn't necessarily a violent person, but I had this problem in myself, right? This secret self-loathing. And I was a hardcore punk rocker, spikes in my hair and all that. I was a singer with punk. I used to sing for a punk band with a big old mohawk and all that. And
I need to see pictures.
Okay, I'll buy them. And so I had to change how I felt about myself. Right, and quite frankly, a relationship with a higher power that was critical. Now, it's not the only way to recover from addiction, but it's probably the best way. But you can just look at a high power as all the things about all the things in the world, or anything can be your high power as long as you're not it.
Yes, agreed. Hey, right? Tony, give me just 1 second. Hey, Henry, if you can hear me, I need the sound turned up in here, and I can't figure out where to do it. All right, sorry.
I don't know.
Okay, so
I got on this journey of addiction recovery, and that was really, and I'm an NLP practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm into all these philosophies, psychology, and all this wonderful stuff. And I'm here to tell you the most powerful thing, the most important thing I ever did was to recover from addiction. That's how, what a malady this is. And addiction is just, the problem with addiction isn't just the doing of the drugs and the consequence of these events, these countless events. None of us live in reality. We think we do. We don't. We only live in our perception of reality, right? We have all these psychological filters going on and certain strategies which change the way we see things. And there's always a veil between our eyes, if you will, and reality. There always is, and it's this perception. And addiction just thickens this veil. It thickens it, just per se. Just the fact that you think that you have to do something, and you're gonna do it, no matter what compromise you have to make. That's how addiction is fueled. Okay, I'm not gonna do it in this, and I'm not gonna, yeah, you'll do it. An addict doesn't need a reason to use, or an addict just needs the opportunity. If the opportunity is not around, they'll make it, right? And so by getting into recovery, I literally was thinning the veil between my eyes and reality. And I'm not, of course, I'm not saying that I see reality as it is. You know, I don't. But I'm on a road where I want to achieve things, which is a very ego thing and a perfectly legitimate thing. But I'm also on a road of enlightenment that I put myself on, and I'm not saying I'm enlightened. Anyone who says they're enlightened is not, right? All right, or more or less. I'm on a road, and that's a path of ego disintegration, right?
Yeah.
What is the
Yeah.
ego? This self-identity, who I think I am. Well, that's just a construct, which I started constructing since day one, since I left the womb, right?
Right.
With my first two gods, which were my mother and father, right? You know, oh, these are gods, and you're not gods, you're a mom and dad, okay? And then I found, other gods in the world, right? And whatever else I thought how I thought the world was, and I just I'm on a permanent evolution. Okay, I'm always evolving, and that is not to say that at one point I'll no longer be Tony Petrozza. That's just the name I have, as this person, and I'm not pretending that I'm another person, another entity simultaneously. But I will contend that whoever I think I am, I'm even more than that.
Well, and I think that it's important to know that, and to be that, and to live up to that, because I think that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to continue to evolve, which is continuing to learn, continuing to love, continuing to be open-minded, but also not tricked, right? Because there's a lot of trickery out there as well.
Oh yeah. I love an expression I heard. I can't remember who said it. Maybe Churchill. He said it. He said a lot of people are so open-minded that their brains fell out of their heads.
Yes, exactly.
That's a good one. I love open-mindedness. That's a critical thing. You must be open-minded. But what is open-mindedness? That's saying to yourself, "I could be wrong." That's saying, "What else is there?" If you can't say that to yourself, then you're not open-minded. But if you can say that to yourself and hold your position, then you may still be open-minded. Just consider the other side. Just consider it. If you won't consider it, you're closed-minded.
Yeah.
You may consider the other side and then say, okay, well, they're wrong. However, if you have to vilify them, you're probably not open-minded. You're closed-minded. You can say they're wrong and empathize with them, or at least float into their perspective and help understand how they have that position or conclusion, and then still walk away with your values. You always want to keep your values intact. Always keep your values. That's your guide. Your values are your guide. Your highest values. That's your guide. You always go by them. And if you find yourself compromising your values, then you've got to really ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Is it because you're afraid?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in the world right now, and there's a lot of fear of the unknown. So yes, and I think that, it kind of leads us into, sort of our discussion as to, what is self-help, because we hear about self-help all the time, right? And what does it look like? But I think that there are, a couple of questions, what's the difference between personal development and self-help? I mean, because I think that's an important one, because we hear that all the time.
I'll get to that, but let me go back up to fear for a moment.
Yeah.
The most common fears are the fear of death, fear of public speaking. I love Seinfeld had a great episode where he was saying a line from his act. He was saying more people, this is true, have a fear of public speaking than have a fear of death. That means that if you're at a funeral and someone's speaking at the eulogy, most people would rather be in the box than speaking than being the speaker, right?
It's so bizarre.
Right?
I know.
Right? But the more common fear today is the fear of disapproval. People fear disapproval, and because of that, they compromise themselves.
Yes.
They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to say what's right. They're afraid to fail because they think people. Oh, look! Oh, he failed! Look, he failed! You know, they don't have. You lost their approval if you have to tell you had it. So all fears are masters. Whatever you're afraid of is your master. That's just that simple. But also I mentioned fear of failure for people not getting into self-help, but they're afraid to put that aside. And it's it's often said, oh, people, I don't have a fear of failure, I have a fear of success. That's actually much rarer than fear of failure, because if you could have everything you wanted, and would you want it? Would you? You probably say yes, right? Well, then that means you don't have a fear of success, right?
Yeah.
You've got a fear of failure, right? Because they go after it. But self-help is basically, okay, to answer the question, personal development is self-improvement that's either done by the self or has a professional instructor or an author, the author possibly, that's for this self-improvement. Okay, so self-help can be personal development. However, if self-help is done with anybody else, then it's no longer self-help, it's personal development. Because if you're doing it with somebody else, it's not self-help by definition.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense.
Right. So a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
They can be the synonyms, but there's always a distinction. Self-help is always by the self.
Okay. So, as we're moving into this, because one of the things that I know that you talk about a lot, which I love, because I love, in the right way, I love disruption. Disrupting the norm, disrupting, sort of the conventional that we know that maybe is not always the right way, right? And so, I'm curious, because you say this, what does it mean, and are you really a revolutionary?
Some people have told me, I get into political discussions on Facebook, Tony, you're a conservative. Like, no, actually, I'm a revolutionary. Right?
Yeah.
I'm much more of a revolutionary than I am a conservative. But because I don't, the status quo is just the status quo, right? And I'm getting to continue with the political metaphor, is that the status quo of our country is a bipartisan political duality, right? Conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat. And that's all that is the status quo. That doesn't mean it's the right way. That just means it is the way.
Mm-hmm.
The right way is always subjective. We live in, the very world that we live in, unless you live totally in nature, is completely constructed by humans. All of it is completely constructed. Everything, especially if you live in the city. You walk on a sidewalk, you think that sidewalk appeared by God? Well, God was behind it ultimately. But men made that. Everything, this whole thing that we're going through is all made by people who are either long dead or people who stood on the shoulders of those people who are deceased. It all began long ago, thousands of years ago, and technology continues to create it, whether it be simple stuff like concrete, which the Romans actually invented. Cement, I think, 2,000 years ago, or technology. It's all created. Mm-hmm. So we're used to things, and we think that's just the way things are. We can call this status quo. We can just call it life, but it was all created, and some things disrupt the way things have been, and those are disruptors.
Yeah.
Now, self-help, to stay on the topic of self-help, has been around a long time. I contend that Benjamin Franklin is the modern creator of self-help, but it certainly precedes him. But I wanted, like I said earlier, I love self-help, but it didn't work. I said to myself, is that good enough? I said, no, it's not good enough at all. Mm-hmm. Can I change this? I mean, like I said, I've been at this for years, because this is something, that I want to see happen. I want to change the world. I want people to manifest their dreams. Henry David Thoreau wrote in the 1800s, most people live lives of quiet desperation. That's probably more applicable today than ever before.
Yeah.
And since there's billions more people around, there's a lot more quantity. Most people don't have the lives that they want. They're not happy. So why settle for that?
Agreed.
Why not do my best to change that? You know, and I don't have to work as a life coach 101 anymore. Now technology changes things. The digital age is the most incredible technology we've ever had. Obviously, every day we're a day older. We're always the oldest we've ever been. But the great, wonderful irony is there's always a day closer to your death.
Well, and so I think that's a great point, because there's a book that, and I think there are probably lots of books, but that I read fairly recently that was just that. It's think about your death. Actually put yourself in that situation and live your life that way every day. And I wanted to make a point because
wait a second. Let me live your life. What way?
As in you want to. Well, I didn't write it, but as in you. Go ahead.
You want to die. I mean, when you say you picture your death with a life that having lived the life that you want to live.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes,
we needed that part. We needed that part. I didn't want to let you know. We needed that part. Okay,
Appreciate you.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
So we haven't talked about this, but I love this part of our story, which we don't have this like long story, but I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a background and something that you don't know is, so Tony reached out to me through Facebook, and in Facebook, there are a lot of people who reach out to you don't want to respond to. And there are the comments and there are the things, and it's just the way that it is, and I just kind of ignore, or sometimes I'll push the delete button because it's usually, a lot of times it's just not appropriate, right? So I was so intrigued, and of course before I responded to you, I went to your Facebook page, and it was because of your Facebook page, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a couple of posts that you had about probably self-accountability, these things that you're talking about. I am also a conservative, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach back out to this guy because of that. So
I come out of the NLP field, right, the coaching field, and let's just call that field politically correct. Most of the people are in there politically correct. I'll say it out loud. I'm not politically correct. I believe that it's one's duty to express themselves. And if you're holding back because of some fear of disapproval, which was mentioned already, right, then what kind of person are you? You think that this is I contend that this is one of the reasons why I'm a happy person, is because I really express myself. And not that I'm so smart. I'm more of a dummy than I am a smart person. But so what? I need to say what I believe is right, and that doesn't mean I am right. Mm-hmm. But who's going to say it? You? For me? No. The greatest gift that we all have is our own life. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that now. Don't mistake that for narcissism. There's quite a distinction between narcissism and loving yourself. A lot of people cannot look in the mirror and say, "I love myself." That's not a lack of narcissism. That's lacking a truly the most necessary thing. How can you love another if you don't love yourself? Yeah. Right? How can you really? The way we feel about ourselves corresponds to how we feel about the world. All right. Mm-hmm. So we have to get right with ourselves in order to get right with the world, and the world will judge you for it because that's what the world does. And if you don't have the wherewithal to deal with that judgment, you shriek from it, right? Mm-hmm. You cower from it. You get, the most, talking about fears, the most common fear, I think it was some great, really smart guy who won the Nobel Prize a long time ago. He said today, in modern society, cowardice is not the great fear. Conformity is the great fear. People want to conform because they're afraid of being scrutinized. Yeah. You don't believe in the right thing. You're not saying the right thing. Right? Oh, okay, well, what is the right thing? Because this group, which has a perceived power, says it's the right thing. What about what you think is the right thing?
Right.
What does your value truly say is the right thing? And again, avoid self-righteousness. That's a key problem. People are self-righteous. Why do you believe that? Why are you right? Well, because I'm just right. Well, but can you have any sort of a logical argument to support that you're right? Well, if you can't, well, maybe you should look into that. Not just look into that, but look into why you think you're so right. You know, so expressing yourself. So this great gift that you have is you, and it's not like, and the expression is, oh, look at him, he thinks he's God's gift. Well, you are God's gift.
Yes, I love that.
God's gift. Well, life is God's gift to you, and your gift is to give it to the world.
I love it.
Right?
I need
your gift. Who are you?
A big quote. Yeah.
Right. What are your values?
Yeah.
What are your aspirations? What are your expressions? That's your gift to the world. And if you are suppressing that, you are taking your gift. You're taking this beautiful car and treating it like crap. You have to take care of this gift.
Yes.
You have to do the best with it. That's gratitude. There's gratitude. So that this great gift, which is you, which is your life to you, you can present it to the world. And in that presentation, your happiness or other good emotional well-being is tied. Because if you don't trust that what you have to express is valid, then you're going to have emotional issues about that.
Mm-hmm.
So so this complexity of psychology, it's all there. But let me simplify it, is that stand up for what you believe. State it with sincerity, right? And then just do it. Because guess what? As we've already touched on, death is coming rapidly. I don't say that with being morose. I'm saying that factually.
Yeah.
It's coming. Every one of us, we're all born to die. I'm not being morose.
It's
right?
true.
I'm not being macabre. We are all born to die. So you got to do something before that day happens.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much, and I think that you know what I'm talking about, because I think you've experienced this yourself, but having the self-awareness to try to figure out how to dig yourself out of the place where you're not doing all the things that you're talking about, right? It is, as you say, that is the self-help. And sometimes you need group help. I talk a lot about building your team of people who can help you, whether it's physical health, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relational. It was all the things that we talk about on this show that are health and wellness, or all of these things. We have to build our team, but we also have to be responsible and accountable to ourselves to do it, right? Nobody else is going to do it for us. We can have people from all directions telling us what to do, but we've got to do it, which leads us to your app, because I want to make sure that we really, really dig into this. I want to know more.
Let me address that. You're absolutely correct, of course. And creating this app, Perficio, which is Latin for to achieve, to complete. Okay, I wanted to make something that lets someone be successful with self-help. But I also realized the extreme validity and value of what you just talked about. Having a team, having people that are supportive, that are people that share some commonality. So in my app, it helps a person by themselves, by the individual, start, learn, apply, and complete a course, and then to apply what they've learned towards their goals. But what about the group? Is there value from the group? Of course, just as you said. So it also connects them with the group who's taking the same course that they are. So it connects them, because there's the group dynamic, which is invaluable, but the individual dynamic, which is just as valuable. We basically, in life, you really need to balance things out. You need to do things for yourself, absolutely, but you can't be such a selfish prick where you disregard everybody else. Because, you've got to consider the consequences of your actions, consider your agreements,
Yeah.
right? You make agreements with others, right? You got to keep them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You fulfill your responsibilities and your obligations towards others, right? But that said, the group dynamic is critical, and my app puts people together who have the commonality. So you have the self. This app is on a phone, right? It's on a phone, and it's customized to you, and it helps you. Basically it's a robot coach, but not a robot life coach. It's a self-help coach. It's only for the stuff that you learn in any specific self-help course, and it puts you together with people who are doing the same self-help course.
Interesting. So, explain to me and everybody else how does it do it?
Does it through magic? You ever hear of magic?
I have.
Well, first, right now we only have, again, Perficio is the coach. It's not the course. It's designed to coach a course. What course? Any course. Any course. We only have one course now, which is a financial one, Benjamin Franklin's The Way to Wealth, because we're only beginning. We got to crawl before we walk. But we're going to have thousands and thousands, many thousands of courses on there. I would love to have the world's library of self-help courses on there. We'll see if that happens.
Do you upload them, or does the person on the app upload whatever you do?
No, they're going to have to pass. First of all, we have to do an upgrade before we're able to open that catalog, open that store.
Okay.
But they're going to have to pass our quality control before they can have their course on there. Yeah,
Okay.
Cool. Only high quality stuff.
Yeah.
But the point is that Perficio will coach the user to start. I looked at self-help, and I sort of, what are the problems with self-help? And I discerned that there are 4 problems. Person doesn't start a course, right? It's gonna be great. Let me buy this Deepak Chopra book and never even open it. And I'm even guilty of that. Then they don't apply what they've learned, which is a critical thing. Or learn it on a deep level, which is just as critical, and they don't complete it. But I'm very guilty of. I'm the world's greatest starter, world's worst finisher, right? Very common thing. So it solves that problem. But then, like I said earlier, it helps. After that, what then? Then there's a secondary part after the course called Stay the Course, which is a subscription where Perficio coaches you for an indefinite period, your choice, to use what you've learned in that course, in this case, Benjamin Franklin's Way to Wealth, towards your financial goals, whatever goals you made that are related to the content of that course after the fact. So there's two elements, and the key to Perficio is the preparatory phase. Basically, we all see winners who are like, oh yeah, I want to be a winner too. Well, all winners, you don't see the preparation. All winners put in massive preparation, and you have to prepare yourself too. You have to learn what it takes Perficio coaches a user to learn to accelerated learning. So it has you take an accelerated learning mini course. That's an aside. Perficio gives you assessments to learn your psychology, because it has to coach you as an individual. That's critical. This rah-rah BS, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Just like it's basically like a real coach, but it's a robot, and it knows what to ask. It knows the pertinent things about you to get you moving. It's basically perpetually motivating you because it says the right things to you at the right time to keep you going, learning and then applying. But it also has to be very intuitive too. It has to back off when it needs to back off, because what gets in the way of performance is basically distraction. We get distracted, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so when we get distracted, Perficio has to sense that and either back off and know when to come back. And it does that through these various digital sensings. And then you can go on vacation. You go, Perficio, I'm going on vacation. Come back to me in a month. Fine. A month later, it'll come back to you. Where in the old way was a month later, when you wanted to get back to that self-help course, you forgot all about it, and that was the end of it. Well, Perficio comes back to you a month later. it says to you, Nikki, you ready to get back to work? And you say, no, I'm not. I need another week. Well, come back to another week. Okay?
Yeah.
And you can snooze it, and there's all different senses for it to know when to back off. But it doesn't let you quit. You see, we don't fail until we quit.
Yeah.
That's when you fail. And it has to be a terminal quitting, because if you, I've quit, like I mentioned, it took me 8 years to get successful in addiction recovery, and 600. I rounded off to 600 attempts. Could you imagine if I said after 599 attempts, to use that number, I said I'm not going to try quitting drugs anymore? I would have never gotten clean.
Yeah.
So it had that history preceded that. Now that's not saying it was necessary. It wasn't. It was necessary. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But that is the fact. We can speculate all we want. Speculation is just speculation. You got to go by facts. And if you quit something and never return to it, then you'll never be successful at it. And that is a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah.
So to do something, you have to stick with it one way or another. And the more persistent, the more focused, the more consistent you are, the greater your chances of your success. And Perficio gets you to do all this. First it learns about you, then it coaches you to learn a course using accelerated learning, video, audio, text. And then it auto adjusts for your pace, whether you want to go fast, whether you want to go slow with groups, or whether you want to do self-pace. And it doesn't matter what you want, it adjusts to your reality. Because what we want, what we say, is one thing. What we do is another thing.
Yes, it's so true.
Right?
It's
right?
so true, yeah.
That's why, as a coach, you assess people, right? And you find out their values, and they'll tell you, but they typically tell you their ideal values. To find out what their real values, you got to see what they do, because that's the real values, and that's fine. That's perfectly normal. I'm not my ideal self. I'm not satisfied with who I am. I don't say that with self-deprecation. I say that with honesty. Mm-hmm. I'm not satisfied with who I am, which is good. It keeps me hungry, keeps me going. I want to be the better me.
Yeah. It's something to that. I think that's the I say this a lot, but we're supposed to live in the present. We're not supposed to beat ourselves up about the past, but it's the past that teaches us so much. And one of my favorite things, literally, as hard as it is to look back at the path that I have been on and think, wow, where am I going to be now in a year, 5 years, 10 years, seeing where I've come to and what I've gone through, and the people who I've met and the people who have taught me, and developing my relationship with Christ. And oh man, that's constantly working on that one. But
let me interrupt you a moment, because this is so pertinent.
Yeah.
I know that you wanted to know some of my motivations. I want to mention I want to change the world, but I also, I was an actor, and I used to make productions. And I was a film student. I want to get back into making movies, serious movies, big movies, and that's the primary motivation. And I already have several already, not scripted, but everything else is done. And first one is about the Vietnam War, but the second one, or actually one I want to answer is I want to make a movie about Longinus. Now a lot of Christians don't know who Longinus was. Longinus was the Roman centurion who stuck his pilum into Christ's side to make sure that he was dead.
Yeah. So
I want to make the movie about this, and who became he became converted just moments before that. He was forced to do that by his commander. He might have been he probably was the first post-dead Jesus to convert to Christianity. Seconds after Jesus died on the cross, he said, "Surely this is the Son of Christ, and Son of God," and he converted. And he dropped to his knees. Yeah. And so I want to make the movie about Longinus, all right?
Cool.
And there's going to be some story. I already know the whole story, and it's a wonderful story. And and if you're not a Christian and that makes you comfortable, that's fine. Listen, we all believe what we believe, all right? And don't confuse religion for reality, all right? We believe as Christians, religion is based on faith. That means knowing without proof. Okay? We don't have to agree on any knowing without proof. But at things that are provable, we should agree on.
Right, right. Agreed.
Right? So stay away from trying to get me to agree to things that are unprovable.
Yeah. We have a lot of that right now.
Oh, we sure do. We sure do. Quite frankly, listen, you know, I mentioned I lived in a counterculture. I was a punk rocker, right? And now I'm quote unquote normal. Society, quite frankly, has never been more screwed up than this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
I don't say that with any
madness.
superiority. I say that as someone
No.
who embraces logic.
Mm-hmm.
I embrace logic,
Mm-hmm.
because logic is the way.
Yeah.
Logic is the way. Our emotions, while it's a wonderful thing, they get in the way of actually good living.
So true.
And for you and for others, emotions do. We have to go by logic.
It's hard.
Logic, that's the way.
It's hard. Yeah, it's a little off topic, but it's so true, and I think it's important to realize that they are totally separate. I mean, I see this in, you know, people I am with, you know, on a periodic basis, but it's so much of life is based on emotion, and that emotions aren't clarity.
All emotions, like everything has its pro and its con. Everything has pros and cons. Every single thing. Nothing is excluded from this. And emotions are both blessings and curses. So what you want to do is avoid the curse of emotion and go for the blessing of it.
Yeah. 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 Take
Right?
it, use it. We all have emotions and they're important. But, you know, again, that's not clarity. You have to use your brain. And
Right.
emotions aren't your brain. And
Right.
it's not always easy to do, and it's not always easy to separate. You have to really, again, goes back to having an awareness around what is, you know, so many people right now are like, well, you got to do what feels good, what feels right. I'm like, come on, people.
No, you want to use your gut.
Yeah.
You want to use your gut. You want to use your values, as I already said. However, you can't trust your feelings, because feelings are, by their definition, untrustworthy.
Yeah.
They go by perceptions, and perception is not reality. Now, even though that's the best we can do, but you have to give your emotions the benefit of the doubt, okay, intrinsically by default, and say this may not be the way to go by, because it may not necessarily be based on the truth.
Right. Yeah.
And what is the truth? Well, that's arguable, but the truth is the truth. There's no, a very common thing to say, oh, my truth. No, that's, my truth is my bullshit. Okay?
Yes,
all right?
you're
There's no
absolutely
such
right.
thing as my truth. Now,
Yeah.
there's things that are intimate about me. That's fine. That's perfect. Everyone has that.
Yeah.
Things that I should keep private, or things that I don't put out there, or things that are true about me. Great, but that's not the
Yes,
truth is
there is the
objective,
ultimate
that can be
truth.
proven in a court of law.
Right.
Right, that's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And even that, there's all sorts of fallibilities there.
Yeah.
All sorts.
Biases,
That's
yeah.
not, it's not this ultimate truth, but that's the best we can do. That's
Yeah.
how elusive the truth is.
Well, as humans, because we're humans, right?
As humans,
there
yes.
there is, as I believe we both believe, the ultimate truth. There's God's truth, and we take this and we're like, I have to be really careful, because I say a lot that in health we have our own health truth, and I believe that to be the case because we have our own history, our mental, emotional, physical, food, relationships. This, that is, sort of who we are. But that is not the ultimate truth, right? So
Well, yeah, as long as your health truth does not smack in the way of facts,
Yeah.
then that's the health,
Yeah.
your health truth, right?
Right.
But if the
Right.
fact is that I have diabetes and I say that I don't, well, my truth is a bunch of BS once again.
That's a really good point. Thank you for that. So
my BMI is more than what it should be. If I'm fatter than I should be, I can say no. I can say whatever I want about it. But the BMI says, oh, okay, your ideal health or weight should be this.
Yeah.
Not what you think it is.
Yeah.
What you think it should be. Oh no, but this is my health truth. Okay, which is to say nothing but which means that the way you want to deal with it. But what is the science say? The real science, not
well,
some new
and yeah, that's the thing too.
stuff.
Is science. I got away from even saying science. It's like
Yeah,
I need
it's
evidence
become
based.
thin ice.
I need evidence
It's
based.
precarious. It's a minefield today.
It's
true.
ridiculous.
And I never saw science so wishy-washy as today.
I know it's disgusting for sure. Okay, so we're pushing our time, which I can't believe. I know, but
Listen,
yeah, go ahead.
I thank you for talking. I thank you for this meeting. It's been wonderful. I had such a wonderful conversation. As last time, I had you on my podcast, and it was truly one of my favorite interviews that I've had.
Oh.
And I thank you for talking to me about Perficio. And I encourage your listeners, your viewers, to go to my website to get this, and subscribe to my newsletter, because Benjamin Franklin's The Way to Wealth is only the beginning, and that's not even, that's a wonderful, Perficio is a self-help coach that lives on the e-learning platform. Again, The Way to Wealth is only the beginning, and we're gonna have thousands of courses on there, but that's not the real value of the course. If you learn a course on your own, great, but unless you're applying what you've learned, then you really lost out on the true value of that. And that's the great value of Perficio. It gets you to apply what you've learned. So go to the Perficio, perficio.io, PERFIC.io, and subscribe to the newsletter, and we're going to offer all sorts of discounts. And I tell you, I'm very, very attractive discounts. But I will do this for you, Nikki, since you're so great. I will say I'm gonna give a promo code on here, which will give any user 66% discount.
What?
Okay, all right, 66%. So the right now the retail price of Perficio is $300. For any of your listener or viewers, it will just be $100. And that promo code is FAF, as for friends and family. Okay, I give that to my friends and family, so they get 66% off. Well, now, if you're a listener or viewer of Nikki, you can get that incredible discount, which is the best discount we offer by far. And that's 66% off, FAF in caps, friends and family. And you can, and everything's a money back guarantee. So this is we're just beginning. We're gonna transform self-help.
Yeah.
This is gonna be, I'm gonna usher in the success revolution, because as I said about Thoreau, people are not satisfied, but what are they doing? Well, Perficio is gonna give them something to do to change that. They don't have to hire a coach, they don't have to go to a therapist, you have the wherewithal in most instances, but you just need a little bit more. Well, I've created that thing, it's right on your phone. Give you that little thing that you needed to keep you on track towards your goals and change your life. And that's Perficio. And I invite you to go to the website and subscribe to the newsletter and find out more.
I love it. Okay, so first things first, there are 175,000 of you out there at least. Go and get this. This is really cool stuff. So 66% discount, FAF is the code. So my question for you,
write that down, because you'll need it later.
Yeah.
Okay, when we launch. You don't need it now, but when we launch, you just subscribe to it.
That was my question. So right now you're subscribing to the newsletter so you can find out when you actually launch.
Right.
So can they go ahead and purchase now?
No, you can't purchase yet.
Okay,
You can't purchase yet.
All right, just wanted to make
But
sure.
that code will give you 66% when you do purchase. That's why I say
Okay.
write it down now, put it away,
Yeah.
put it in your phone or whatever, just so you have that code, FAF.
Okay.
Friends and family. So guess what? So you're a friend and family of Tony Petrozza. You're like, big deal. Well, it gives you $200 off. So
Yeah.
it's not a big deal, but it's worth $200. And there'll be other discounts still.
Yeah, it's a big deal to me because I need to subscribe to your newsletter. I will do that, or send it to me and I'll do it. Either way, but I want to do that because I want to know when it's out. When it is out, do you have an idea? I know it always gets pushed back.
It's going to launch realistically first week of June now. That's our new target.
Okay, good.
And I got news for you. I don't know if we talked about this. Listeners and viewers of Nikki will have a course on Perficio, whether it be nutrition or whether it be about other expertise, fertility. She will create a course. Mark my words, this will happen. Either be one or both or either. where you will get the knowledge of Nikki without having to talk to Nikki, because it'll be there, and this Perficio will truly, so now it won't just be a book, you'll be embodying it. So you're like, oh, what would Nikki say? You would already know it, and if you're using Nikki's knowledge, this is basically
cool.
Knowledge transference.
Very
that's
cool.
That's the incredible thing.
I
This
love that.
is a slow process. It can be, the individual will depends on the individual how fast or slow that is. But this is a slow process. This is, you know, obviously there's no such thing as overnight success. If you want to be a success, you've got to commit to success. The way you have, the way I have, the way any self-helper does. But now you're going to have more, you're going to have Perficio on your side, and that is the game changer.
I love it. I love it. And I'm excited to have my course on your platform, on Perficio. I think that's so exciting. So exciting. All right, so sign up for the newsletter. Go and be on the lookout. When you do launch, let's have you back on. That's
great.
Cool. I think that would be super fun. So just let me know. Or you have the link. So whenever you're ready, use that link and sign up when you launch. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, you can find me at tastelifenutrition.com. All of the social media is Taste Life Nutrition. Go to the website. You can fill out a free assessment that gives you, or that helps me understand a little bit about what's going on with you and how we might be able to help. And we have finally launched Soulful Conception. It's out. Yeah!
Awesome! Excellent. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Super excited about that. That would probably be, once this is going and kind of up and running as an evergreen, because right now it's not evergreen, but will be an evergreen. That will be the one, at least the one that we'll have on Perficio, because this is in my mind, it's a game changer as far as preconception planning goes, and creating, as you talk about, it's the movement to creating a healthier future. It's creating your health now in order to create your healthy pregnancy, your healthy child, your healthy grandchildren, and your healthy great-great-grandchildren for 7 generations. The power is in our hands. The power is in our hands to take care of ourselves and you know, to do something like Perficio, to you know, take a step back and say, this is what I need to better myself, and this is what I need to better my family and my family's future. It makes a difference. It's big stuff, and it's good stuff, and I'm super excited about it. So
the answers are out there for people who seek them.
Yes.
Seek, and you shall find.
Yes.
All right. Someone special said that. All right. So you want the answers to something, and you know, listen, I'm not gonna, you know, drugs have their place, but for me, it's a last resort.
Yeah.
And for people who have this knowledge, it should be a last resort. You should look into, because there's always a consequence. There's always a consequence to everything. All right. And so look into doing things homeopathically or naturally or using your mind.
Yes.
All right, to solve problems or to achieve goals. And if you have difficulty with that, you can go into the next step. But you never give up. But I really condone. Nikki, I know what you're about to the extent that I do, and I so herald, you know, congratulate you, and I encourage you to keep going. You're doing great stuff, and we will be partners. We will be content partners. All right, in Perficio, we're gonna have you on there. It's gonna be great. Looking forward to it. Amazing. Well, thanks, Tony. You're amazing. I love what you're doing. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back here next week, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com, where you find us every Thursday, 10 a.m. Reach out to Tony, follow him, get his newsletter, go to his website. What's your website? Perficio.io. Perficio.io. There you go. All right, Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nikki. Much love to you. Great stuff. I appreciate it. Take care. Awesome. God bless. Thanks, Tony. See you later. Bye, everybody.